And finally, let us talk a bit about the Native American culture after the Indian Wars. And we talk about now the 1900s. Let us briefly look at that. So the Indian Wars were officially ended in 1890, and then there were only about 250,000 natives left in what is today USA. In the 1900s, the government set out to Americanize the natives, and tribes and cultures were lost in the process. Prejudice, also fordomar, and gross discrimination has been a devastating problem, and all throughout the 1900s, the Native Americans have struggled hard for their rights and dignity. And here is a picture that kind of illustrates the Native American fight against freedom and liberty in the white Native North American society. When the civil rights movement, talking about the 1960s now, the American authorities, they admitted to the inhumane treatment of the Native Americans. And in the 1970s, the Native Americans got a public apology. And John F. Kennedy, president, 1961, he said, "The history of the Red Indian is our history." And of course, this statement was an approval of that the Native Americans actually belonged to Native American soil. Another quote, Robert Kennedy, 1968. "The first American is still the last American in terms of income, employment, health, and education. I believe this to be a national tragedy for all Americans, for we are all in some way responsible." And finally, John Wayne, in a Playboy interview in 1971, "I didn't feel we did wrong in taking this great country away from them. There were great numbers of people who needed new land, and the Indians were selfishly trying to keep it for themselves." So yeah, this was quite a different view from the Kennedy view. Now, what is the situation today? Well, today there are about 2.5 million natives in the United States of America, 300 different tribes, and about 250 languages. And 1/3 of these natives, they live on the reservations, and even though there are serious social problems such as poverty, unemployment, as well as alcohol and drug abuse, many Native Americans prefer to live there because they can better keep their traditions and because they feel lost and stigmatized in white man's society. So 1/3 of the natives, they live on the reservations. And here is an example of reservation housing. You can see that most of it is built on around cardboard. And you see the soil here? Well, the soil doesn't seem to be too fertile. Det är ju ikke akkurat fruktig jord de har blitt utdelt av myndighetene. Okay, now, yes, there is a growing pride and self-awareness in the Indian population today, and the Indians are becoming more proud of their values and traditions and culture. And there is something called the American Indian movement, which is a movement which is quite active today in getting back the pride and self-awareness.